Okay, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's session. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the life cycle in a project management life cycle. Last night we scratched life cycle because last night we did a kind of summary, but we are going to start discussing topics in detail. We are going to look at what life cycle means in a project. Then we'll talk about life cycle of a human being, life cycle of other things, how a child starts from conception till your activity, till you go back to where you come from. That is a life cycle. And we say that everything that is temporal, every project which is supposed to be temporal, to have a life cycle. That is it. So that's what we are going to try to look at, to understand the life cycle of the project stages. That will help you to know how to deploy your resources and manage your resources, and make sure you are not deploying resources within the wrong stage. We have so many stages. There's amount of money you're supposed to spend for your child while your child is in nursery school. There's a certain amount of money you're supposed to spend when he's in secondary school. That is resources, resource allocation. So if you are allocating resources, for instance, a child in nursery school, and you are at this moment you are paying millions to keep your child, even if you are the governor of a state. No. So there are stages as we are progressing. So that's why we need to understand life cycle and know the resources, people to deploy at different stages, people to hire. For instance, when we are starting a project, there are people we need to hire, like a business analyst. At that point, we don't need developers. If your child is in nursery school, you don't need to hire professors. You need to look for early year educators. We as well to have early year educators. These are the stages in a life cycle. If you're hiring a professor to look after your nursery, is wrong. Just like you are hiring a developer to come and initiate your project, you are not going anywhere. Okay, let's go to, I'll start sharing my screen so that I will practicalize what I teach. I hope you are seeing my screen. Okay. The project management lifecycle encompasses the stages through which a project evolves from its inception to its completion. There are typically 4 to 5 main phases in a project life cycle. In our own, it's between 4 to 5. Why I said 5 is because when you are going to read some textbooks, you are going to see, they are going to say that in a project life cycle is 5 stages. They are going to capture monitoring and control as a stage. But in most cases, and in my own case, I capture 4 stages in a project life cycle. Monitoring and control, I see it as part of all the stages, because you don't wait to a particular stage before you start monitoring and before you start controlling the activities in the project. So monitoring and control is part of the beginning. So let's look at this table here. In this table, you can call it work breakdown structure. It contains all the activities in a project life cycle. Yeah, all the activities. Okay. So now let's look at the first stage in the life cycle of a project. We call it initiate stage or initiation. I have a template I'm going to send to you. These are part of the things. As we start, I'll be sharing my notes. So it's up to you to start keeping the notes, putting it together as part of your resources. If you like, don't keep it. As I'm teaching, I'll be sharing templates. If you like, start gathering them. Yeah, this is the time for you to start building your own library as a project manager. You need resources to become a manager. Yes, just like if you're a medical doctor, you need your work tool. If you're an engineer, you need your work tool. As a project manager, you need your work tool. All these templates are resources you are going to need because you are going to be consulting them from time to time. So, if you are looking at this table, we have stages here. This is the first stage here, initiation. If I scroll down, I'll go to another stage, which is 2.0. That is stage 2. It's planning. Then I'll move down again to 3.0. You see it is execution stage. I move again to 4.0, monitoring and control. I move again to 5.0, is closure stage. At this stage, you close the project. And once you close the project, you throw a party. Because let me tell you, 50% of the project globally, 50% of the projects we started all over the world do not get to 5th stage. Yes. A lot of projects crashed before they get to closure stage. So if you successfully get to closure stage, it's a big milestone. So they are all called milestone. Completion of a stage in a project is a big milestone. You need to celebrate every milestone. Okay, let's discuss briefly how these stages looks. During the initiate stage, what the initiate stage? Defining the project objective, scope, feasibility studies, and justification. So at this stage, you need to sit down with stakeholders and conduct feasibility studies. Conduct feasibility studies, assess viability and practicability of the project. Yeah. 1.2, identifying the stakeholder. Before you can do this, we need to identify stakeholders. We say stakeholders. You need to identify who are the stakeholders. All these things are things we're going to discuss in details. Stakeholder management or stakeholder analysis. You need to conduct, we call it stakeholder analysis. Then once you identify your stakeholders, you need to do requirement analysis. Requirement analysis involves gathering requirements and analyzing them. It's not you that are going to do this as a project manager. So in this initiate stage, in most cases, you require a business analyst to work with at initiate stage. And then with the help of business analysts, develop a business case. And then once a business case is developed, business case will justify if the project will go on or not. The business analyst will then decide what is the viability of this project. What is the cost-benefit analysis? After the cost-benefit analysis, the business analyst will say, yes, this project is viable. The profit or the benefit we are going to derive from this project is bigger than the cost. And because of that, we need to proceed. And that is a signal that we need to proceed. If the management approve the business case, the next thing is to develop a project charter. The project charter will create, is a document that authorizes the project manager to start officially and declare that the project is on. And then the planning starts. That's when the business analyst, the project manager will start. The project manager will create authoritative work breakdown structure. The project manager will create a project plan. All these things are measuring are key topics we are going to deal with. Work breakdown structure, project plan. We are going to, like when we get to project plan, we might even treat like project plan like 3 days to finish treating a project plan alone. Then identify assets and risk, establish communication plan. These are all the things we are going to start, part of the plans. We are going to start risk planning, risk management. We are going to use what we call RAID management, RAID log or risk log to start. Within the project plan, that is when you create even the budget, everything in the project, you plan everything, capture everything. Schedule the project. And then after the planning, the next thing is execution stage. During the execution stage, then it's time to start mobilizing the funding. Everything will start hiring all the necessary resources. Like if it's software development, is the time to start hiring developers that will start developing the software. If it's a construction project, it's time to start hiring laborers, hiring bricklayers, hiring all the construction workers, carpenters, all of them. This is the time to deploy them at execution stage. So it's for you to understand that even when you come to a site, you see them, some people would think that, for instance, construction site is when we start digging or clearing is when the project, no. Project must have started way back even before clearing the land for the building. Project start when the idea was conceived. Analyzing the idea, do we do it, do we not do it, do we do it? So all this brainstorming is still part of the project because people that are going to do the brainstorming, like the business analysts, you are going to pay them. It's not free. So that is, so during the execution stage, mobilize all the resources, implement the project plan, everything in the project plan, you start implementing, monitoring progress, and managing changes if there's any changes. So, come to project performance and monitoring control. I am of the opinion that this 4.0 should not stand on its own. It should be part of the activities from day one. But in so many schools of thought, they try to treat 4.0, which is monitoring and control, as a topic or as a phase. Okay, let's look at it as a phase. During this phase, ensuring the project remain on track in terms of quality, budget and timeline, establish baseline, track project progress regularly, implement quality assurance, manage risk, manage resources, and control changes, maintain communication within the project. Yes, these are very, very valid. But the point is that these activities here should not wait till it gets to this stage. It should start from initiation. We should be weaved within the whole full project. In every stage of the life cycle, we must still monitor, evaluate, and control, and make sure that we are on track, not only when we get to this stage. That is my argument. Okay, let's look at what is obtainable at closure stage. During the closure stage, assume the project is being delivered successfully. The business analyst, if there is business analyst, will then meet the project sponsor with project documents showing that the project has been completed. We call it acceptance form, project acceptance form, for the project sponsor to validate or to accept. So the project sponsor will look at the acceptance form. If the project sponsor is happy, the project sponsor will sign the acceptance form. And from there, that will become a signal to the project manager. Once the acceptance form is signed, the project manager will start closing the project. Closing the project, part of the closing the project is going to be conducting project closure meeting, review project achievement, discuss lesson learned, and gather feedback. Yeah, obtain acceptance form, which is part of the business analyst is going to do, and close contract and financial account. Every contractors you have, you need to close it. If any contractors partnered within the project, it's time to start closing all the contracts and then document project closure report. Once the project closure report is documented, then you can close the project. So these are stages we need to follow. So this here, we have 5 stages. Yeah, this is my lesson notes. When I teach with 5 stages. But during the implementation, when I implement my project, I weave this number 4.0 within the project, and I use this particular work breakdown structure. This particular work breakdown structure, which I'm going to share with you. You see this work breakdown structure is 4 stages. If you see here, the first stage here is initiate stage. Initiate stage. That is the first stage. If I scroll down, you see define stage. That is planning stage. If I go up again, you see execute stage. If I go up again, you see closure stage. I removed planning and control because As a project manager, your planning and controlling start from the moment you received the project brief. The moment you received that the project, that is the moment, that is a document. A project brief can be by invitation. They can invite you to sit you down over a cup of tea, and you and the project sponsor will discuss it. So you start discussing the project. The project sponsor will tell you everything he wants to or she wants to achieve. That is what we call briefing. Project brief means briefing. Alternatively, the project sponsor can have a document and hand it over to you and tell you, this is what I want. You then have to go and review the document and come back with a question to understand more. So that is project briefing. So all these documents, we are going to treat them all one by one. I'm going to share template you see so that you can see how a project brief looks like. Then identify stakeholders and their expectations. You need to know who are the stakeholders, because the project sponsor who invited you for a meeting, for a project brief, is not the only stakeholder. But the mistake we are making most cases is that we think that only the project sponsor is the stakeholder. They are not the stakeholder. So because of this, we are going to do what we call stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis. And during stakeholder analysis, we are going to understand who are the stakeholders and who owns all these responsibilities. You see here, at each stage, which is phases, initiate stage, I will tell you the task that is performed, and I will tell you who is the owner, who is expected to be part of that, or who is expected to perform that activity. Like project brief, you, the project manager in a project, you is your duty to go and meet the project sponsor to get a project brief that you are going to use to address your team member when you are starting. And then identify stakeholders. You need to carry out stakeholder analysis. Project manager and business analysts are expected to be part of this if you have a business analyst. In most cases, business analyst is even going to be there before the project manager. Yes, in most cases, you find out that they hire business analysts before they hire you, because business analysts seem to be even be more important, because he decides even if the project, there will be a project whether to start a project or not. Then create work breakdown structure, which we already thought is the project manager is their duty to break down the project into manageable stages. That's what we call work breakdown structure. Then you need to define roles and responsibilities involved within this project. We're going to use racing metrics to do that. You, the project manager, you do that. You need to assemble project teams. That's what you are going to do during kickoff meeting. Is the duty of project manager. Identify scope of work. Yes, you, the project manager, need to identify scope of work with the help of the project business analyst. Then select project approach. Depends on the approach the company wants. Is not your duty to decide the project approach. I want to make it clear here. The project methodology is decided by the project management office, PMOs. You remember yesterday we talk about PMOs. If the company do not have PMO or they don't have project management office, in most cases they still have, but if they don't have and they ask you to decide, then it's up to you as the project manager with your experience to determine the best approach to use. whether to use agile project methodology, to use a waterfall, or to combine them. Then by the time we finish, you should be able to understand the difference between agile approach and waterfall and other project management methodologies. So facilitate initial requirement gathering, data collection is the duty of business analysts. Business analysts need to go down and gather requirements to understand the problem the company is trying to, or the organization is trying to solve. The business analysts need to carry out, after the requirement gathering, you need to document and model the requirement, call it as-is process mapping. And then the business analysts need to do what we call requirement analysis. You can use gap analysis, you can use root cause analysis. This is not the work of project managers, it's business analysts. Validate high-level requirement is the business analyst. Carry out solutions evaluation, business analysts need to do that. Conduct cost-benefit analysis to determine the return on investment is the business analyst, not the project manager. Create a business case, yeah, to justify the project is the business analyst, not the project manager. Then create a business or the project charter. Yeah, authorization is the project manager and equally business analyst. Then project plan is the project manager. You need to create the project plan. Once you have gotten the authorization through the project charter, then is at this point is good to set up a project risk management approach or methodology to start documenting the risk in the project. So you can use we have project risk register and we have red log. In most cases, some use risk register, but I use red log because red is more robust. At this point, you start creating your project plan. Project plan. As you are creating your project plan, the business analyst will start documenting the product backlog. Product backlog, which comprises of user stories and acceptance criteria, only if you are building a software. So it's when we are building a software, I want to make it very clear, because not every project that we are going to use user stories and acceptance criteria. This is during software development. Yeah. If it's just like event planning or this, you don't need user stories and acceptance criteria. So let's assume we are building a software. So use case diagram is equally involved during software development. Wireframing is equally during software development. It's the business analyst that does all this, not project manager. Test plan, test scenario, and test cases. These are duties of business analyst. Groom user stories and acceptance criteria, business analyst. Validate and sign user stories, business analyst. Enter user stories in Jira, business analyst. And then at this point, create definition of ready checklist. Then the project manager, in case you are using software development, the project manager will now not be called project manager again, because in most cases in software development we use agile approach, and in agile project management we don't call project managers, we call them scrum masters. So the project manager, we are going to be calling you scrum master, and the BA will remain BA. And at this point, we are going to bring in developers. You see developers, and then product owner will emerge as well. So as you see in execution stage, we're hiring more people. It's no longer be the project manager and the BA. We're hiring some developers and we're hiring the product owner as well, who are going to join. So, and then the project will start with execution. That is sprint planning. In every stage of the, if we are using sprints, every two weeks or every one month, that's what we call sprints. Duration, where the team will bring small part of the project and complete it. We call it project iteration. We are going to treat them one by one so that you understand it very well. So, within this sprint, we'll continue to cycle and cycle and cycle until we finish the project. That's what sprint and execution is, not just one-off. It's a continuous process till, if we are building a software, for instance, we are building a mobile application, every two weeks we'll continue to build one feature, another feature till we complete. Once we complete, we carry out a demo, call it sprint demo. Sprint demo is when the team will come to test what they've or demonstrate what they've built before the stakeholders to show that they've completed the work. And once they do that, there is what we call sprint retrospective. You can equally call it lesson learned, where the team will come together to inspect and adapt. And once all these activities in the execute stage is completed, meaning that we have, for instance, we are building a mobile application, we have finished building the mobile application, we launch the product. After launching the product, then we step into closure stage. During the closure stage, we obtain client acceptance form. We've discussed about obtaining client acceptance form. Client acceptance form is when the business analyst issue an acceptance form to the product or the project sponsor to sign. Once the project sponsor signs the acceptance form, it means that he has accepted the project, that the project is completed, and we'll start closing all the raid. The raid is all the risk and assumption and issues. Open, we close all of them. We carry out a lesson learned, or what we call post-implementation review. And the project manager, the BA and PMO are going to be part of it. And then we document lesson learned and then update the business case. All the project reports are going to be uploaded to the repository. Repository is the project environment where we store all the project artifacts. And then the project manager will round it up with a project closure report, end of project closure report. So that's what the project manager will do. You see here, so in every activity we itemize, we attach who is going to do it. So that is, you see, what you are going to perform at every stage till the end of the project. That is the life cycle. Follow the life cycle. If you do not understand the project life cycle, you are bound to struggle. Yes, in building a house, anybody can build a house, but if you do not understand how to build a house, some people will just think you come and start digging foundation. After digging foundation, you start pouring cement and start. Yes, but that is not the proper way to build a project. Even after building and something happened, and they want to understand set up a committee of inquiry. They want to understand what happened, how they tell us the story, how everything began. If you have a document like this, and for instance, they invited me, there's a committee of inquiries that invited me to talk about detailed explanation of what I did in a project. If I use this document, I can tell them what I did. I'll tell them that I received a project brief from the project sponsor. I'll tell them that I identified the stakeholders and their expectation. I created work breakdown structure. I defined roles and responsibilities. And then I assembled the project team. I identified the scope of work. I picked a project approach to deliver the project. I then appointed the business analyst, or the business analyst who have been working with me started facilitating initial requirement gathering. The business analyst under my watch documents and model requirement analysis, carry out gap analysis, carry out root cause analysis to identify the gap, validated high-level requirement, carried out solutions evaluation, carried out cost-benefit analysis to determine the return on investment, created a business case to justify the project, and then I created a project charter which was approved to authorize me as the project manager, handling the project and spending resources. And I continued on stage 2 with a RAID meeting. I created a project plan. You see the way I'm flowing, because I'm a very organized project manager. And during the interview, that is what they are going to ask you. They are going to ask you, okay, can you tell us when you have been part of a project? As a project manager, one of the projects you handle, can you tell us how you deliver the project? How did you start the project and deliver the project? If they ask you that such question, if you have access to this kind of template or document, or you have used this kind of document to manage a project, all you need to do is try to remember all the activities you followed. If you duly follow the activity, not that you are here listening to me. If you remove this, I can close my eyes and be writing all these things till I finish it, because I've done it before so many times. You know, I know what to do at every phase of a project. If you do it once or twice, you memorize everything here. That is a project manager. And I encourage you to always work with document like this, plan your project like this. That's what we call it management, project management. It's not project deployment. Project deployment is different from project management. Project deployment, you just go there and start digging foundation, digging this, doing this and that. Yes, you are deploying, but you are not managing it. You don't have structure to manage your project. So this is what we mean by project life cycle. You've now seen the activity in this project, the life cycle of this project. And it happened like that in every of our life activities. Yeah. So I'm going to share this. Once we finish, I'll upload this document to our platform, so you can get it and keep. Even the notes for him, that will get them for you. So yeah, if you have any question you want to ask, it's fine to ask questions. So, trying to ask questions. Okay. I'll take questions till it's 8 o'clock and I'll close this session and I'll move on to join another session I have by 8 o'clock. Okay. Emmanuel Fred, please be fast.
Okay. Greetings, Mr. Charles. Greetings, everyone.
Yeah,
Mr. Charles, can you hear me?
Yes, we're waiting for your question.
All right, please. Just a quick one. I think, in my understanding, that that of business analyst and project manager, I'm thinking it's overlapping. Could you please make a sharp contrast in their functions in executing a project?
Did you follow? It is not overlapping anything. And in project management, nobody told you that it's one person that is managing a project. A project is being we have what we call project team. So every other person, everybody will be doing their job in a project, and it's their duty as the project manager to be monitoring what they are doing, carrying out oversight to what they are doing. So there is no overlapping. In some cases, the business analyst and the project manager will sit down to perform some activities. So there is no overlap.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
There's never a time you say that in projects it's only project manager. Right from the one we see that the project manager is the leader. You know, in a state government, we have governor, we have deputy governor, we have House of Assembly executive, we have, in some cases, they are going to be having meetings. The speaker and the governor will be having meetings. The deputy governor and the governor will be having meetings. We have secretary to the state government. We have commissioners. These are team members. They will be having meetings. So when a project manager, when the governor and the speaker is having a meeting in a particular, maybe a bill or legislative activity, is it overlapping?
No, it's not.
Okay. So
okay,
try to go through the document I'm going to share. And
okay.
Even yesterday, when we are talking about rules in project management, we talk about business analysts, didn't we? Were you in yesterday?
Yeah, I was here, but network was actually disturbing me, so I wasn't paying full attention.
Okay, the courses, the video has been uploaded. Try to go watch it so you understand. Yeah, because we're not gonna start again to start telling the rules and the responsibilities of a business analyst. We don't have time.
Okay, thank you. That will be all.
Okay, Patrick Ebe. You are on mute. You are on mute. Click the microphone icon.
All right. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
All right. My name is Patrick. I'm an environmental consultant to do environmental impact assessment.
Okay.
So what I want to ask, sir, sometimes in a project, the stakeholders the funders. Most time when the project has gone, you are deep in the project, they will now tell you that you have to change the modalities of the project. Now, what I want to ask is, this your template, is it a universally accepted template for us to follow? Because some organizations will tell you you have to work according to this our template. So I
Yes,
just want to know if
yesterday I told you that there is a role called PMO.
yes, this project
PMO,
management officers.
project not officers, project management office. Then
All right, sir.
managers are the people that are running the project management office. This office decides the modalities, the methodologies, the templates that every organization are going to use. But everything they are not going to tell you is not going to be very far from this template. Yeah. So if you understand it, it's either they tell you we manage our project using agile methodology or we manage our project using waterfall. So whichever one they ask you, even if there is not this template, it might be they define it in one way or the other, but it's going to be mirrored to what we are doing here. So if you understand the concept of every, whatever they tell you is not going to be so far away what you have here. So our template is universally accepted.
Right. It's all right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
As time goes on, maybe we'll understand better.
Yeah. So once you have it, go and start studying it. And like I said, if you study it and try to be part of, if you start internship where you are going to have the opportunity to deploy a project.
Okay.
Then by the time you finish, you should be able to understand how everything works. But at this point, we are just starting. It might be a bit not so thinking, but once we continue with us, everything is going to sink.
It's all right, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
No worries. Questions, Aja?
All right, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the training, and we've learned a lot so far. My question is from the work
Patience,
breakdown.
patience when you ask question, everybody here needs to see your face. Don't
Okay.
hide the camera.
Yes, sir.
I don't entertain questions from strangers.
Okay.
Please help us tell Mr. Patrick to unmute, please.
Hello, good evening,
Patience,
sir.
we don't have time. So
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, I just want to ask one question from the structure you showed us now, the work breakdown structure, the activity. How do you get the activity to impute, and how do you know the ones that will follow next? Especially if you've got a job in a field that you are not familiar with, how do you know the activities that is going to follow?
the activities here is universally accepted activity. You don't, if you look at it, I said accept a project brief. Anywhere you go, a project brief is a project brief. So there's nothing like we don't use project brief here. A project brief is a project brief. Okay, identify stakeholders. Identifying stakeholders is identifying stakeholders. They can never change. Yeah? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Conduct requirement analysis. Requirement analysis is requirement analysis.
Okay.
So, create a project charter. Project charter is project charter. Create a project plan. Project plan is a project plan. Anywhere you go, any project you manage, project charter is project charter. So because you are starting new, that's why I'm giving you the template. Follow it the way I've given it to you and follow it directly. That's what you need.
Okay, sir.
You don't need to do any other thing. By the time you use it to run project wise, you memorize it.
Okay, sir. All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. Vivian K.O. Vivian.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the class for today. I think part of my question was have been asked. Okay. Then secondly, like for yesterday's class, talked about the stakeholders, then those who are working. Then for we now, for instance, when we start the apprenticeship, um, we now, are we going to be the ones to be shared into the business analysis, or they have, or from the company will now be the one to provide using the business analysts and other people? We are just the one coming in as a project manager.
You are a project manager. All you are going to do is that you know you are a project manager and you are going to be looking out for your own role. Forget about other people's role. Try to learn your role first before thinking of who's going to be the business analyst or the role of a business analyst. Try to understand what you are meant to do as a project manager, not what business analyst is meant to do or what a developer is meant to do, but what a project manager needs to do. Once you understand their own role, then you then try to learn how to manage others, which is going to be, and it depends on the project you are going to be working on. Will determine those who are going to be involved, whether business analysts are going to be involved, whether developers are going to be involved, or whoever is going to be involved. But the main thing is understanding the roles of a business analyst and know that you are not working alone. You are not working alone. You have others working with you. If you start an internship and you see a business analyst there, good. It's just like now you got a job. When you are getting a job, you are looking out for what you are meant to do, not what others are going to do. It's the same thing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, thank you, everyone. Think I've attended to everyone's question, and I urge you to every document you share here, take it seriously because it's serious. That's why we're using it. You see here, I don't have time to play around when I manage project or when I teach. Anything I'm not bringing here, it's not necessary as long as I'm concerned. Project management, some people or some universities teach project management for 2 years, even at master's degree, and you do not get all these things I'm giving you. But I remove all the side attraction, all the unnecessary, unwanted element that waste time, all the padded energies. I remove all of them and I give you what you need. So the point I'm making here is every document we are going to be discussing is extremely important. If you want to be a project manager, you must try to learn them even beyond the way I teach it. Yeah. Thank you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.